Yeah. No.
Confirmed. Rogue status no longer active. Warning. An agent in your vicinity has gone rogue. Warning. A nearby agent has gone rogue.
Look at my health bar. I barely refreshed. Rehab, I mean.
Warning. You've disavowed a division and are marked as rogue.
ايوه موجود معك. دقيقة خليت لي منها دي 3. لا ما يحتاج. خلنا ندخل.
A rogue agent.
Hello and welcome to another Division video. In this video I will present you another awesome build, my Predator's Mark counter build for the DC especially, and you can use this build pretty good for farming solo in the DC as well as for some rogue action in the DC. And yes, this video has 3 parts actually for you. So first of all, I will present you this secret build I was testing out in the last couple days and weeks for you in detail, and as a second part you will see, or I discuss quickly what different builds you can use with the NinjaBike if you don't have a full classified gear set. And the final part you see at the end of this video is a little gameplay where I was using this build in a skirmish match. Yes, I know I'm a PvE player, but you will see how this build performs as a PvE player in skirmish as well. And yeah, at the beginning you saw already some footage, and I personally was pretty impressed as I did this little test with my buddy to see how good I can counter his decent PRED mark build. In my opinion it works pretty well because I could reduce the damage, bleed damage for about 50%. That's quite a lot, and you see I could not even take down 1/3 of my health because of one little secret to this build. But for the moment let's get right into the build. And yes, as usual, if you enjoyed the video, if this is helpful for you as well, then please don't forget to give this video a like. I do really appreciate it, and it helps me a lot. And leave a comment down below. I really welcome every comment of you, and as I said, I really appreciate it. So let's get right into the build. As you see, the base of this build is a NinjaBike 3-piece Banshee, final measure, and my secret part at the end. And let's get right into this build, not with the gear, with a quick look on the character sheet. Let's start with the weapon. As you see here, pretty nice. That's without pulse, without any other buffs. So I do have 51.5% base crit chance with my SMG, which I think it's pretty nice to have. And yes, the damage is pretty nice too, I would say. Crit damage 114, could be a little bit higher, but it works for me at least. Then let's go ahead. Yeah, I'm mainly a PvE player and I use this build for farming as well. That's why I have damage to elites on this build as well. It's not the most important thing, of course, if you just use it in PvP. This one I don't care that much on this build. As you see here, 0% skill haste. I think I never had a build in my whole career on the Division which 0% which had 0% skill haste, but yeah, for me it works pretty well. And survivability part, so max health 340,000, almost 342,000. Oh, can I talk anymore in English? Sorry. And one of the most important things on this build is this one here, 59% exotic damage resilience. So let's get right into the build. Start with the chest piece, final measure, and yes, final measure of course, because of the 2-set bonus, which I can unlock with the tell me please, NinjaBike of course, NinjaBike backpack, 25% exotic damage resilience. This works just awesome against the bleed from PRED mark. And the stats I'm using here is rolled into stamina with the major attributes health and exotic damage resilience and a minor ammo capacity. The mods I'm using all over the board, the same ones, is exotic damage resilience as well, with 257 stamina. Yeah, 257, it's not really the max roll you can get, so you could be lucky and have better ones than I have, but for the moment this works pretty fine. Minor attribute ammo capacity, I think that's almost a must, at least on the chest piece. Increased kill XP doesn't make that much sense for me at the moment at least, but as I usually say, the build has to suit you and you have to feel comfortable with it, so just test out for yourself what works for you and make a couple test runs and see what fits to your playstyle. So let's go ahead with the knee pads. The knee pads I'm using here is Benji, and these are rolled into stamina as well, with health as a major and damage to leads, burn and disorient resistance. I would really like to have shock resistance as well, because of the many shock turrets you can visit or see in the dark zone, so that this would be really pretty nice to have here as well. But as I said, because I use this for farming as well, I do have damage to elites. If I really just use them for PvP, then I switch to these ones here, where I have bleed, shock and burn resistance on the minor attributes. For the mods here, I'm using as well the same mod as before, and prototype performance mod, first aid self-heal. To say this right at this point here, I think at this patch 1.8 it's kinda hard to decide which one is the best performance mod for this slot. Yeah, probably you know already, the first aid self-heal got a little nerf, let's say it this way, because the number doesn't increase your higher toughness, the stamina health scaling, so it's even lower than before. And yeah, just have a little bit more of a little bit. Yeah, I think that's a question you have to answer for yourself if this makes sense. So on this one you do have really a lot of options here as well. You could even run the pulse crit damage, possibly. You could run support station range here. Just test out for yourself what works for you. For my setup here, I do almost prefer this one the most, so first aid self-heal, to have at least a little bit a stronger heal from my first aid. The reason for this one. So let's go ahead to the holster. Holster of my choice is a Banshee as well. Pretty high stats all over the board. It's not maxed out, with a major attribute of crit hit chance. Yeah, that's a main ingredient as well to reach this high number of 51.5% base crit hit chance. Of course, you could swap this out for skill haste if you would like to have a little bit more survivability and have your skills back a little bit faster, or reload speed, health, whatever you like. But I think if then I would reroll this to skill haste, or as I have it here, crit hit chance. I think these are the most viable ones. The same mod as before, first aid self-heal here. Then the gloves, pretty standard I would say for a more damage oriented build. SMG damage, so choose the weapon of your choice as a primary and have the SMG the damage talent there. So that's for me the house, that's why I do have SMG damage, crit hit damage and crit hit chance on this one. Then for the backpack, NinjaBike, as I mentioned before, it's rolled into skilled power and ammo capacity. Yeah, this would be possible of course too, to have health on here, but I think the toughness, the health is pretty high already, and I don't know, I personally feel more comfortable if I do have about 100k skill power and not too less there. So that's why I really like to have here skill power as well. But of course you could run crit damage as well on this ones here, or stability if you have an assault rifle and you struggle a little bit with the aim. So then the stability would be pretty nice to have here as well. Ammo capacity is not a must in my opinion, because of the talent of Benji. I show it to you quickly after this. You could swap this out for burn resistance probably, or whatever you like on this one here. So the same mods as before, as I mentioned already, so that's why I don't talk much more about this. Just quickly go to Benji. Probably you know the set bonuses already, so the 2-piece looted DC funds 20%, not that important for me at least, to have a little bit more DC funds. Yeah, it's nice to have, but not a must. Then the 3-piece bonus is of course really nice, and that's where you get the damage from on this build. 10% to damage to targets out of cover works pretty nice, and let's be honest, about 95% in PvE or PvP are the targets out of cover, and you can benefit out of this talent. And then the 4-piece bonus, it's really nice to have as well if you're in the DC. So when you're a rogue, then all ammo is completely refilled every 30 seconds. Damage taken from non-rogue players reduced by 10%. So really nice, and that's why I said on the backpack you don't have to run ammo capacity, because yeah, when you're rogue then you get a refill every 30 seconds, which is really nice to have. And the second part, which is more important for me personally, while not rogue, damage to rogue players is increased by 10%. This bonus is increased to 20% for 10 minutes after being killed by a rogue. So with the 3-piece bonus you do have 30% increased damage, which is really awesome on this build. And just if you could have a quick look on my primary here, the house, I have 20k, let's say 20k, 30% more makes 26k base damage against rogue players. I think that's really awesome to have, I would say. If you're already at the weapon, then let's have a look on this one here. I run this with Deadly and Vicious. Yeah, Vicious is a main ingredient to have such a high number on the base crit chance. And you can swap out this one of course to another weapon, MP5 or whatever you feel comfortable with, and you could even run a responsive on this one, would work pretty nice too. And as a secondary for PvE, I do have my lightweight M4 with predatory, destructive and responsive. This works pretty well for PvE, I have to say. And yes, because I don't have any skill haste and I don't have my heals back that often, I really like to have predatory. 35% of 340k is a lot, it's almost 115,000. You get back over 20 seconds, which is really awesome. So this setup, or this weapon setup, is my preferred choice to have on this build. And for me it works pretty well, but as I said, test out for yourself what works for you and make your choice for yourself. Then the last piece here is the mask, and yeah, not a secret one, but I grabbed this one out and farmed this one again, because I just thought lately about it and thought this could work really well on this build, and I have to say it does. It's the rehab mask, and the rehab mask has the talent that it heals you 2% every second during status effect. And yeah, if you get hit by PRED mark, and as I said before, this is my PRED mark counter build, then you have a status effect, a bleed, and pretty for a long time. And 2% sounds really small, but if you remember, I do have 340,000 health. This means I do get back 6,800 health points per second, and that's really awesome, I would say. It sounds not that much, but just have a quick look, and yeah, just to show you quickly, I run this with EDR, exotic damage resilience and damage to elites. You could swap of course the minor attribute to a resistance one if you use it just in PvP and not for PvE, but because I use it, I think, a little bit more for PvE, even in the dark zone, than for PvP, I like to have damage to elites there. And yeah, just have a quick look on the skills. My immunizer heals me for 2,300 health points, as I said before, 6,800. So this means the rehab mask heals you about 3 times more than the immunizer here. But of course you use the immunizer mainly to blow it up immediately and get the 1/3 of your health bar back, or to cleanse the bleed from a PRED mark. That's the main use of this one. And if you're already at the skills, we're finished anyway with the gear pieces. I prefer to run on this build 2 healing skills, booster shot to increase my damage a little bit more, 15%. So if you remember the 4-piece bonus from Banshee, 30% in total if you get killed by a rogue after this against rogues, and with this one here 15% more makes 45% more damage. So with the house this means about to have 30k almost if you pop this against rogue players when you get after a kill from a rogue player. I think that's really awesome. But of course sometimes I swap it out if I just farm to this pulse here, recon pack, to see if the loot is still there and to see what's happening around me, or if I fight to more than 1-2 players I would say, then I sometimes just change to the shock turret to have a little bit of crowd control and increase my chances a little bit to fight them. These are my preferred choices of skills. The talents I'm using on this build is nothing really special, I would say. Pretty awkward. It's crit safe, it's strike back because I don't have any skill haste if I'm low on health, to get my heals back a little bit faster. I run precision to increase my damage furthermore, and I don't have a pulse usually, so this works really well. And 1 is none on this one here. If you can land the headshots, you do have more bullets because you don't use 50% of your bullets you can land a headshot with. But of course you can swap this out to on the move probably if you would like to increase the survivability a little bit more. And of course I would change this 1 is none to combat medic if you run this setup in a group. Yeah, that's already about the build. As I said before, I do really hope this is useful for you as well. You enjoyed the video and you enjoyed the gameplay at the end. If so, then please don't forget to give this video a like, leave a thumbs up and a comment down below. It's really appreciated and it helps me a lot. And yeah, let's continue with the second part, as I said before, where I discuss quickly what options do you have with the NinjaBike if you don't have a full classified set at the moment, probably to farm the next global event as well. But I think honestly Tactician will be beast on the next global event. That's just my opinion. And the third part, as I said before, a little gameplay out of a skirmish match. So enjoy the video. Thanks a lot for watching guys, and see you in the next one. Bye bye. So part 2, and as I mentioned before, I will just quickly discuss which awesome combinations you can do if you don't have a fully classified set right now with the NinjaBike backpack, which is still a really viable piece of gear in my opinion. But yeah, there are so many viable options and combinations you can do with this really nice piece of gear, so it would not make sense to build just every week another build video, make another build video. Just figure out for yourself what you need and then build the gear for yourself. I made a quick list with the 14 gear sets we have at the moment, and in red the best options or the best talents you can get out of each gear set, as you see here. So as an example, if you need stability, if you have problems with aiming, then go for 1-piece striker or to unlock the 2-piece bonus. If you would like to have survivability, choose tactician for 15% skill haste, or counter the PRED mark, then choose final measure. So you have really a ton of viable options. And yeah, as I said before, I will not make the part too long, so just pause at the overview I did and figure out what you need. And yeah, you should build the gear set up on a base, so figure out what you want. If you want to play with a D3 build, an SMG and a shield, then of course you have to choose D3 as a base, so 3 pieces D3, and then look what you need furthermore. So if you would like to have your skills back faster, then just choose 1 tactician to unlock the 2-piece talent, 15% skill haste. If you would like to have more resistance against the bleed from PRED mark, choose one final measure and then build your personal setup. As the build, as I mentioned or showed you before, my PRED mark counter build, you have other options there as well, of course, too. Instead of the rehab mask, you could choose one piece of, let's say, a tactician to have 15% skill haste. You could choose one lone star even if you feel that you run out all the time of ammo. But as I said, it really depends on your playstyle, which makes sense for you, which gear set and which combination. That's why I don't think it makes sense, too much sense, if I do every week another build video, because there are so many, a ton of combinations you can build with the NinjaBike. So you have to just figure out for yourself what works for you. So if you have problem with aiming a little bit, I really recommend Striker. If you would like to increase the damage and you're often in the dark zone, then choose 2 or 3 piece PRED mark and 2 or 3 piece Banshee and combine them together, and you get 18% with an AR and SMG, 2 targets out of cover. So you have a ton of combinations, but as I said, just pause at the overview, look which stats you need, and then build your personal gear set out of it. And of course, if you do have questions about this, then don't hesitate, just leave a comment down below. I'll try really all the time to answer all of your comments and give you recommendations as well. I really hope you enjoyed the gameplay at the back, you enjoyed this video and it was useful for you. And please, if so, don't forget to give this video a like, leave a thumbs up and a comment down below. I thank you really so much for watching this video. I do really appreciate it, your time you invest in watching this video and your positive feedbacks. So just thank you, really thank you for the time you spend on my videos. Thanks a lot, enjoy the rest of the gameplay and see you in my next one. Bye bye.
You got 10 kills left.
This is a serious beatdown.
You got 5 kills remaining. You're the winner.